Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 3 p.m. Eastern Time CMEpalooza session. Let me bring up our slides. I'm Derek Warnick. Here. Oops. Hold on. I have a whole lot of windows going on for this session, so I'm just getting everything scheduled. Okay. This is our Jake Powers CME Detective episode 2. If you tuned into CMEpalooza Fall, you might have saw episode 1. This is episode 2, obviously. Certification at Elevation, the Mile High Mysteries. Have a whole bunch of people participating. We've got Mike Lepresti from MedIQ, Andrea Funk from Global Education Group, Amanda, I'm just going to call her Jamro because I can't say her last name, from Cardiometabolic Health Congress, David Mullins from Paradigm, and Amanda Glazer from Postgraduate Institute for Medicine. Of course, the reading of our sponsors. Our gold sponsors, Daiichi Sankyo, PER, Academic CME. Our silver sponsors, Peer Audience, Medscape Education, Clinical Care Options, and PCE. And our bronze sponsors, PVI, Catalyst Medical Education, CMEology, ACHL, Vindico, Paradigm Medical Education, Postgraduate Institute for Medicine, Global Education Group, CE Outcomes, Integrity, Continuing Education, RMEI, Helio CME, Infograph Ed, Med Learning Group, Primary Care Network, Prova Education, and Red Med Ed. 2 ways you can ask questions during the session. You can text in questions 267-6660-CME and CMEpalooza hashtag. We will try to have a little time at the end for questions. I have a lot I have to do during the session, so it's going to be a little trickier for me to be monitoring your questions, but I will do the best that I can. Speaker disclosure, any opinions, discussions, and or conclusions expressed are those of our panelists and do not represent an endorsement by or position of their employer, its parent company, or affiliates. Additional disclosure is that this is, I think, an amazing session. They did it last time. I think it's very fun. It is a satire of, like Sam Spade, Humphrey Bogart era detective story. Words are used like dame and yokel. If you find those kind of words offensive, then perhaps skip the session and come back for the next one. They are being done in good fun, and I don't think there's anything particularly offensive about it, but I just want to point that out just in case. Lastly, we are using polls everywhere for this session, and I'm going to do 2 quick sample questions so that we can make sure everyone's on board. So once to activate the poll, so you can go onto your, use your phones, go to your browser, put in pollev.com/CMEpalooza 000, or text CMEpalooza 000-222-333. Why there are 3 zeros at the end of CMEpalooza, I don't know. Scott told me that's how it had to be, so I believe him. So I'm going to bring up the poll everywhere. And looks like the question is active. Let me make sure. Activate. Okay. So our first question is, who, move that out of the way so you can see, who are you rooting for in the NBA playoffs? The Sixers, my favorite team. Not the Celtics. Anyone but the Celtics. There are no sports right now, you idiot. Why are you trying to make me cry? So please take a couple seconds to respond to our question. And probably what I'll do, I don't have a timer up. We'll try to go through these quickly because there's a lot to go through. And because show responses, 94% of you said there are no sports right now. You idiot, why do you make me cry? That is probably the correct answer for this one. And our next sample question is, what have you been binge watching during the COVID-19 quarantine lockdown? Tiger King, Ozark, Westworld, The Crown, CMEpalooza Archive. That should be your answer. None of the above, or nothing. Read a book, you losers. Not very professional. I think must have been Mike who came up with these. All right, so let's see. Oh, none of the above. 33, 21% on Tiger King. I have not watched it yet, but looks good. Okay, so that is it for the sample of our poll everywhere. Keep that available because we will be doing that shortly. All right, so let me get rid of this. And with that, I think that is everything. We are ready to start our session. I am going to bring this up and we'll get ready to go. So on the other end, here we go.
Do CME compliance issues take a vacation? No, and neither does Jake Powers, CME Detective. Even when he leaves the grit and danger of the city for the fresh air of the Rocky Mountains, CME mysteries shadow him, taunt him, dare him to take off his signature fedora, put down his bourbon, and try to disregard his own curiosity. The whodunits know his weaknesses. They know he'll fail to ignore a good mystery, but ultimately succeed in solving it. It's what Jake does best. Care to join him? You sure you can handle it? Ready to solve some CME mysteries? Yes? Good. Then take a shot of courage and grab your fedora and trench coat. You've got work to do. The opinions expressed during this session are those of the presenters, not their employers. All characters appearing in this work are fictitious. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. If terms and characters seem outdated, blame Derek Warnick. They're written to match the genre of his original story. All celebrity voices are impersonated. Poorly.
Good afternoon, Mr. Powers. Good afternoon, Mr. Powers.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too, Andrea.
Mr. Powers, it's Andrea.
Andrea, what's the difference?
The big difference is that one is my name and the other is not.
Well, why can't they be interchangeable, like tomato and tomato, potato, certification and accreditation?
Funny you should say that last one. Your first virtual client is in your online waiting room.
I'm not liking doing virtual CME detective business with computers and fancy schmancy internet crap. I like solving CME mysteries in person. I prefer to smell the fear and suspicion on my clients.
Yeah, but our business does much better when they don't smell the booze on you.
What was that?
I said your first client is still waiting. Can I start naming your cases like we talked about last week? Can we call this one the case of the dog whisperer?
Sure, call it whatever you want. I never thought I'd miss my last assistant, Nick. He was a knucklehead, but he got badly injured in a late-night game of Flapdragon. I should have known better than to hire a dame as my assistant. Dames, they're always trouble. All right, send her in, whatever it is you do. Time to get to work.
Hi, Jake. It's me, Amanda Paws.
Oh, hi, Amanda. My ridiculous new assistant just told me it was time for the case of the dog whisperer. I had no idea it was you. Dames. I mean, no offense.
Of course, Jake. None taken. I'm glad I was able to reach you. How's the homework I sent home for Russell going?
Oh, really good. He can now fetch my favorite bourbon whenever I ask him. I mean, not that he usually needs to. I try to keep it close by. I did get the call from America's Got Talent. We were shot down. Poor guy's taking it pretty hard.
Oh, bummer. Well, keep working with him. I'm sure you'll get it next time. Hey, while I have you on the phone, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, shoot.
So, I'm not sure if you're aware, but did you know that dog trainers don't make a lot of money?
What do you mean? I paid you thousands of dollars to train Russell.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I do appreciate your business. Anyway, I decided a few years ago to go to medical school, and now that I've been out for about a year, I'm starting to look into what I need to do to get these CME credits. I remember you saying that you work in CME, don't you?
Sure do, dollface. In fact, I'm the only CME detective in the world. How can I help?
Well, I know that I have to have 50 hours of CME credit every 2 years, but how do I know if the ones I take will count? I keep seeing words like accreditation, certification in the the reading material. Is one better than the other?
Okay. Ooh, sorry. There's a whole thing. Here we go. Okay. So this is my part. Our next question is. There we go. All right. Help Jake the dog give the dog whisperer the correct training. Which of the following is correct? The activity is accredited for 1 hour of CME credit. The activity is certified for 1 hour of CME credit. Either is fine. Accredited and certified are interchangeable. Please respond now. Give a couple seconds. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Looks like 62%, 60%, 63% of the people, the majority of the people are saying that the activity is accredited for 1 hour. So accredited, let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is actually certified. I'm supposed to go back.
You've hit on one of my biggest pet peeves in the CME industry. People use those terms interchangeably all the time, and they're two very different things. You see, the AMA, the American Medical Association, has teamed up with the ACCME, the Accreditation Council for Continuing Medical Education, to provide oversight and guidance to ensure all activities are compliant for doctors. The ACCME is the accrediting body that accredits organizations such as hospitals, universities, medical education companies. Once these organizations are accredited by the ACCME, they're then allowed to certify activities that provide the CME credits, which you need to maintain your practice license.
Here we go. Like I said, there's a lot of screens going on. All right. Our next question is.
Wait, you don't have to do anything yet.
No, not the next question.
Not there yet. So Amanda, pause. Derek, I cannot hear Amanda. But I'm going to guess that she asked if her hospital was accredited by the ACCME. And really the answer is maybe or maybe not. You would have to check the ACCME's website to see if your hospital is accredited. If they are, then they can provide their own certified education for you. If they're not, then they would have to work with another group to certify their education.
I'm flying in. Amanda, feels like are you muted by any chance? Because we have lost your volume. Jake, you might have to handle this one solo.
Give it one more try, Amanda.
Please hold for technical difficulties. Okay, now you're definitely muted.
Am I there?
There you are.
There you are.
That's okay. I'll disappear.
What about when I search for online activities? Do they have to be certified as well? What do I look for?
Oh yeah, any activity, whether in person or online, needs to be certified in order to be able to offer CME credits to you, the learner. You can find out who the accredited provider is by looking at the mandatory CME information that's available before you start the activity. There'll be things listed such as the learning objectives, the faculty, the purpose or goal of the activity, and the accreditation language. For example, this accreditation language may say something like, the really awesome hospital is accredited by the ACCME to provide continuing medical education for physicians. Or if they're not accredited themselves, it might say, this activity has been planned and implemented in accordance with the accreditation requirements and policies of the ACCME through the joint providership of Trustworthy Medical Education Company and the Really Awesome Hospital. The Trustworthy Medical Education Company is accredited by the ACCME to provide continuing medical education for physicians. Make sense?
I think so. Gibbs, does this make sense to you? Okay, so just to clarify, organizations are accredited by the ACCME, which in turn allows them to provide certified continuing medical education.
You got it. But just to confuse us, I've even seen a bunch of supporter grant portals that use the terminology wrong. Accredited and certified are not interchangeable. I also noticed that many grant sites will ask what type of credits are being proposed and include ACCME and AMA as options for physicians. Drives me nuts. There's no such thing as ACCME credits for physicians.
Now, my boss also told me that there may be some changes to CME in the future. Will those changes affect this whole accreditation versus certification thing?
Wow. Literal hats off to your boss. I didn't think anyone knew about the proposed changes presented by the ACCME except for us CME folks. Your boss is a smart one. So yeah, there's some changes to wording in the future that may happen. You see, ACCME has put out a call for comment for revision of some of their policies. In this case, specifically for the standards for commercial support, they're going to help keep CME free of commercial bias and promotion. What they are now proposing is that we call these standards the Standards for Integrity and Independence in Accredited Continuing Education. And one of the changes to wording that they are proposing is that we replace continuing medical education with accredited continuing education. This is to allow the term to be inclusive of all health professions and to be able to differentiate between accredited and non-accredited providers and education. Oh, wait a second. I think that would make me Jake Powers, ace detective. As if there were any doubt I was already an ace at my job.
So what are you telling me is that moving forward, there'll be no accreditation versus certification. It'll only be accreditation?
Yeah. As long as the board of the ACCME has agreed to this change, these are crazy times for sure, but we won't find out until the end of 2020. So for now, it's still accreditation versus certification.
Got it. Makes sense. Hey, one more question before I let you go. My husband promised that I'd ask you.
Sure. Go for it. I mean, my coffee's getting cold and my assistant's getting antsy. And if you rearrange the letters in antsy, you get nasty. Man, I miss Nick. So anyway, sorry. What else you got for me?
So my husband is the lead researcher at Rocky Mountain High Cannabis Company. He asked me if they could provide education for doctors, and I wasn't sure. So I told him that I'd ask you next time we spoke. So can Rocky Mountain High provide CME to doctors?
Great question. So while we in the CME industry love all kinds of education, the area of medical marijuana has been hotly contested. First, let's talk about your husband's company, Rocky Mountain High. In order for them to do their own education, they would either have to become accredited or work with an accredited provider in joint providership. And for both scenarios, they could not be considered a commercial interest.
So what's a commercial interest?
Well, the ACCME currently defines a commercial interest as any entity producing, marketing, reselling, or distributing healthcare goods or services consumed by or used on patients. This terminology may also change when the revisions to the standards are updated. ACCME is switching to the terms eligible entities versus ineligible entities. Basically the same definition, and moving forward, ineligible entities would be the same as a commercial interest. Now, the ACCME did a good job of providing examples of both eligible and ineligible entities. The one example under ineligible entity that I think is pertinent to our conversation is growers, distributors, or sellers of medical foods and dietary supplements. Since we lost her there.
Hey, out of curiosity though, Jake, I've been listening in on this conversation. And what other types of companies are considered commercial interests? And with that, we're going to our next. Oh,
are you going to the question?
I was going to go to the question.
No, go for it.
Okay. So help the dog whisperer who lost her internet connection stay out of the CME compliance doghouse. Which of the following types of companies is not considered a commercial interest? Please make your response now. We have compounding pharmacy. We have diagnostic laboratories that do not sell proprietary products. We have advertising firms whose clients are pharmaceutical companies. We have electronic health record companies. A and C, B and D, or all are considered commercial interests. Remember, you're trying to figure out which companies are not considered a commercial interest. Let's see what people are responding with. And it looks like the majority of people are saying B and D. And let's see what the correct answer is. It is B and D. So let's go back to Jake Powers for his explanation.
Yeah, both diagnostic labs and EHR companies are considered eligible for accreditation through the ACCME. This would make them not commercial interests. Compounding pharmacies and advertising firms would be considered commercial interests or ineligible entities by the ACCME because they produce, market, or resell products that are used on patients.
Sorry for the technicals, Jake. This not.
Well, I kind of lost you again, but tell Gibbs it's time for him to go play ball. You guys have fun, and I'll remember to do my homework with Russell, and we'll see you soon. It's weird. Never thought our worlds would collide outside of dog training, but I'm glad I could help. Hey, you know, you're gonna let me out of this basement sometime. Oh. Lemon. Had enough of lemon.
Andrea, you're muted. Andrea.
Got it. Got it. Great news, Mr. Powers. You have another client in your online waiting room.
Yeah. Great, Andrea. Here I go, saving the CME world one case at a time.
It's still
hangover.
Andrea. It's still Andrea, Mr. Powers, just like it was the last time we talked. And don't you always have a hangover?
You'd understand, Andrea, if you'd seen as many accreditation horrors as I have over my many years as a CME detective.
What could possibly be an accreditation horror?
What was that?
Oh, nothing. Just time for your next client. This guy is a doozy, probably covered in horrors.
The hell? I'll never understand these millennials. Okay, send them in, or whatever it is you do with this video chatting stuff.
On it. Welcome to the case of the local yokel.
Hello? Jake, is that you? Is this thing on?
Oh my God.
Oh, there you are. Oh, sorry about that. Let me move that out of the way. That's embarrassing. Hang on a sec. Mind yourself. Mind you don't cut yourself, Mordecai. Sorry about that.
Hey, who is this?
Oh, well, this is Gordon Lightfoot, or you can call me Gordo, or His Gordonness if you are not into the whole brevity thing. My good friends call me Frank, but that's a long story, and please don't call me that.
Okay, noted.
Well, I'm one of the local yokels here in Douglas County, Colorado, but originally from Georgia, hence the accent. Now, I know what you're going to say, and no, I'm not the Gordon Lightfoot who is the well-known Canadian singer-songwriter, guitarist from the 60s and 70s, who achieved international success. I'm Gordon Lightfoot, the failed catfish noodling adventure company entrepreneur from Georgia who moved to Colorado in search of a new start in CME, which is the obvious next choice.
Well, naturally, but what exactly is catfish noodling? You know what? Never mind. I'll need more bourbon for that story. What can I do for you, Gordo?
Well, Jake, I work for a medical education company, and we recently had a live symposium canceled alongside one of the larger regional conferences out here, due to the virus and all.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of live CME activities being canceled, postponed, or restructured because of COVID-19.
Well, this one wasn't so much because of COVID-19 to popular belief, but actually foot and mouth disease from the local stock show that contaminated the venue. They had to shut her down for about 3 months while they disinfected the whole place, and that's about the time that COVID showed up. So there was really no postponing.
Wow, bummer. And rotten timing, but what does that have to do with me?
Well, now just hold your horses there, Mr. Big City Man. I'm getting to it. As I was saying, the conference was canceled, and I'll be a French fry on a cactus, but we had done, proved, and printed all the marketing material for the live symposium. And now here we are trying to scramble with a change of scope into an online activity. And we have a saying out here, don't pee on my back and tell me it's raining. So I did the right thing and contacted the supporter right away with our change of scope. Thankfully, it was accepted, and now we're moving forward with the online activity. But now we need to drive attendees to the program through one of them audience generation partners, which wasn't originally on the budget.
Okay, sounds like you have things in control. Where do I fit in?
Well, now easy now, compadre. Don't get your britches in a wad. I'm getting to it. As I was saying, we had an approved change of scope and are now moving to an online activity. The plan is to purchase an email list from a vendor and see if the supporter can help with the delivery of our marketing materials that we already developed. Now, maybe through their drug reps, maybe email the invites or send as an email invite to the offices that they call on. We just don't have enough in the budget to do much more than that. So, but we've, you know what, we've never asked a supporter to help with audience generations before. So, so how do we approach them? And can they even do that sort of thing? And what do we need to change for the marketing materials regarding accreditation, or is it certification?
Whoa. Finally, I know what you need, but that's a lot of questions. Let's break it down one thing at a time.
Okay. So help the local yokel learn how the big city CME people do things. With most sales reps working remotely and conducting, quote, virtual calls to their target providers, what guidance would you suggest to the local yokel regarding the request of the supporter to help the invitations to learners through the sales force? So the options are: it is appropriate to request assistance with audience generation if the supporter's internal process, make sure I had that activated, if the supporter's internal process and legal compliance department approve of such methods. It is not appropriate to request assistance and is in breach of the standards of commercial support. It is appropriate only if the invites are mailed in a sealed envelope where the supporter has no prior contact with the material, or it is not appropriate for the sales force to send email invites or to provide information of the CME activity during virtual sales calls. Those were very long responses. So let's see what people are saying. So it looks like most are saying B, it is not appropriate to request assistance and it is in breach of the standards for commercial support. Let's see what the actual correct answer is. It is actually A, it is appropriate to request assistance with audience generation if the supporter's internal process and legal compliance department approve of such methods. Let's go back to Jake Powers for his explanation.
Well, Mr. Local Yokel, sales reps from a commercial interest are allowed to distribute material that promotes a CME activity, such as a save-the-date card, a brochure, or an email. However, there's a few guidelines you must follow to stay in compliance with the boards. First, distribution by the sales reps cannot be the main marketing effort. It can only supplement your other advertising, such as e-blast, social media, list rentals, etc. Number two, the material that the sales reps send out must be under full control of the accredited provider. The accredited provider can provide a PDF flyer, a brochure, or text to use in an email, which includes a link to the registration website. It cannot take the learners directly to the education. It must go to a landing page or a registration page.
Oh, well, that's just slicker than snot on a doorknob, Jake. I'll make sure the team knows what to do. Now, what about the marketing materials specifically? Do these need to change at all, considering we just changed it from a live to an online?
There we go. Okay. Ooh, I gotta go to the next question. See, I've got Scott texting me, trying to do questions. Okay. Can you help the local yokel avoid being sent out to pasture? Now that the program is virtual, what, if anything, needs to change from an accreditation standpoint on the already approved produced marketing materials, other than the obvious change in venue? A, nothing needs to change since it was already an approved material. B, all marketing materials need to be updated with the virtual activity information. C, just the accreditation statement needs updating. And D, as long as the virtual program CME information is accurate, nothing else needs to be updated. While you're thinking of your answer, it's 3:30, and that means that it is. That's a terrible bell. My Scott Cober bell that I have here. It is a CMEpalooza stretch time. Yes, this is a new feature that we're having during this session. Why it's during my session, not Scott's, I don't know. It's 3:30. Everyone out of your chairs. Now I can prove that I'm actually wearing pants. Big stretch. It's like the 7th inning stretch. Okay. Here we go. I did the CMEpalooza stretch. Oh, I almost forgot. Supported by or sponsored by Paradigm Medical Education. Thank you, Paradigm, for that. All right, let's go back and see what people are responding. Show our responses. Almost a tie between B, all marketing material need to be updated with the virtual activity information, and D, as long as the virtual program CME information is accurate, nothing else needs to be updated. Let's see what the actual correct answer is, and it is B, all marketing materials need to be updated with the virtual activity information.
So yes, Yokel, all marketing materials need to be updated, and all of the learners must be notified of the change from live to virtual. Live or enduring material activities that are provided via the internet are considered to be internet CME. In the case of your meeting, it would be considered an internet live activity. Some things you'll need to update are your physician credit designation statement, your instructions to receive credit, and you may need to add in system requirements if applicable.
Say, Jake, all this accreditation talk reminds me, when it comes to marketing material, is it true you don't have to list all of the accreditation information based on the type of marketing asset?
That's correct, Yokel. Because marketing materials vary in size and scope, so does the amount of accreditation information that's needed. For example, a save the date includes preliminary information about the activity, such as the date, location, and title. If more specific information is included, such as faculty and objectives, the accreditation statement then must be included.
Okay, so you're saying I need to get a move on with these new action items. I'm going to have to move way faster than molasses in wintertime to get this done, but thanks for the help. Now I got to go round up the cattle.
Get out of here, Frank. You know where to find me if you need me.
Don't you start with me, Jake. Now, dadgummit, Mordecai, put down that acceptance letter from MIT. You're only 10 years old. Kids.
Hello. Are you suffering from accreditation or certification complications? Yes, then you've come to the right place. I'm Jake Powers, the world's only CME detective, and I'm here to help. No case is too big or too small. One little mistake, and your accreditation may hang in the balance. One tiny misstep, and your compliance department may hang you out to dry. This business isn't for the weak or the timid. That's why Jake Powers only uses Fair Balance Deodorant, the deodorant that can stand up to the most stressful cases. Now available nationwide at...
Mr. Powers.
Oh, damn it, Andrea. You interrupted my commercial. It was going to be perfect. I haven't looked this good or had a sponsor for our show in years.
It's still Andrea, sir.
Oh, for the... Really? Is it that hard to change how you pronounce your name?
Well, how would you like me to call you Jacques instead of Jake?
Give me a break. That's as ridiculous as conducting detective work on a sunny day in the mountains instead of a rainy day in the city. Oh, wait.
Anyway, speaking of talking funny, you're never going to guess who's on the line for you.
The who?
It's the Viking Dame. I thought you two were sworn enemies.
We most certainly are. Her love for the Minnesota Vikings and my passion for the Seattle Seahawks drove a wedge between us wider than the Grand Canyon. Why would she be calling me?
She said she heard you were in Colorado and wants to make amends. She said she knows you're the best in the business when it comes to solving CME mysteries and needs help understanding some of the accreditation policies for her program that got postponed due to coronavirus. She also said something about keeping her friends close and her enemies closer, but I don't think I was supposed to hear that part.
Oh, Viking Dame. Unbelievable. I suppose I should show some compassion to her, though, considering her beloved Vikings haven't won a Super Bowl since, oh yeah, never. Hang on. Whoa. Is that? Oh man, my hair's gotten so long during isolation. I mistook myself for Jason Oliveri, the great outcomes guru. I'm sure that guy never needs a CME detective. Okay. Lemon. I really used to like lemon. Okay, patch her through.
You got it.
Oh, Jake, is that you? Jake? Oh, it's so good to see you. Thanks for taking my call. I'm glad we can put our football allegiances to the side. Oh, what is that, a seagull on your shirt? That's cute. Okay. I do have some accreditation questions for you, though. Do you think you could help me out?
Hey, Viking Dame. I'd say it's good to see you too, but your onslaught of purple is rather distracting. What can I do for you?
Okay, so first of all, what is going on with these revised ACCME standards for integrity and independence and accredited continuing education? You know, I submitted our comments in response to their call for comments about the proposed changes ages ago, but I haven't heard a thing. It's like they're off on the lake fishing or something, you know?
Well, the ACCME Board of Directors reviewed the responses at its March 2020 meeting and did come to a consensus about modifications to make in response to the comments they received, but they decided to delay the adoption and implementation of the revised standards.
Oh, well, geez, Jake, I've been on pins and needles about their decision on the changes. When do you think we'll hear something?
I'm sure you're not the only one waiting, Viking Dame. But don't worry, the ACCME is discussing alignment of the proposed changes and expects the final decisions to be made in the fall, which means we'll see a final version of the standards before the end of the year.
Oh, oofda, Jake, that's a ways away. What's going to happen after they release the final version?
Don't worry. ACCME said that after the board adopts the revised standards, they will release a transition plan that includes phases to give accreditors, accredited education providers, faculty volunteers, and other stakeholders time to prepare to meet the expectations of the revised standards.
Oh, school! That's great, Jake.
Yes, it is. I think we can both agree that's far better than a Blair Walsh field goal attempt, right? And they also provide education and resources to assist with the adoption of the revised standards. At this time, though, you and your team should continue to adhere to the current standards as they remain in place.
Oh, you betcha, Jake. Will do. No problem. Oh, hey, hang on. Honey, the hot dish. The cheese is burning. I told you not to put it in so early. No, take it out. Take it out. Oh, geez, Jake. He's burning the hot dish. Okay, listen, I really wanted to connect with you as I have some big changes coming up with our live meetings and I need your help.
Well, Viking Dame, this Rocky Mountain air has cleared my head and helped me be an even better detective than before. So how can I help?
Okay, so as you know, this coronavirus pandemic has really put a damper on our live meetings. We've had to cancel some of them and others we decided to postpone. We're also thinking about doing some virtual live meetings. I know a lot of folks are doing that, but don't quite understand what the accreditation policies are for these types of changes, you know? Plus, there's a lot to take into account when you make changes to a live CME meeting. You got to think of logistics. You got to think of the educational grant funding, the exhibitors, the sponsors, the faculty. Oh, geez. Jake, the list goes on.
Oh, I know it. And it's not just your programming that's being affected. The entire CME world is feeling the effects of this virus.
Well, Jake, what should we do? I know we're sworn enemies, but we've got to come together in a time like this. Can you provide some guidance?
Sure. So it sounds like you have 3 different scenarios to work through, right?
That's right. We're canceling some live meetings, unfortunately. We're going to reschedule some others, and then we would really like to hold some virtually online.
Okay. So when it comes to canceling your meetings, there's not much else you need to do besides notify everyone that's been canceled, including the accredited provider and any sponsors or supporters.
Okay, now Jake, do we still have to report the live meeting to the accreditation boards if it was planned but then canceled?
Nope, not necessary.
Okay.
Since the CME meeting was canceled, it will not be reported.
Okie dokie, makes sense. Now what about postponing our meetings?
Well, just like if you cancel a meeting, you need to notify everyone of the new dates. What's
Okay.
important to remember in this case, though, is that if you have any independent medical education grants, you'll have to submit a change of scope.
Change of scope. Oh, Jake, what's that? We're just changing the dates. That's it.
Anything that changes from the original scope of the grant must be submitted, reviewed, and approved by the commercial supporter. That means the date change. And if any other components from the original grant change, they will need to be submitted as well.
Well, Jake, what about the budget? Do I have to send that over too?
If the budget changed from the original, which it very well could have because of the meeting date change and potential changes in faculty and other vendors, then yes, I would suggest you review your budgets after the change, regardless, to make sure that they are up to date and accurate.
Okay, I got it. Now, if I have to submit a change of scope and a new budget to the supporters, does that make they might decline it?
Unfortunately, yes, it does. Just like I would decline your hot dish or whatever the heck it was.
Oh, hey,
Any-
no, okay.
Any changes to the original scope of the approved grant must be submitted and reviewed. It's possible that even if the dates are the only change, they could decline it, but that's up to each individual supporter. Best to be prepared for anything.
Oh, you betcha, Jake. We're always prepared over here. That's why I called you. Which brings me to my last question, which is turning a live event into a virtual meeting. We've already selected a platform and the logistics, they're in motion, but we're trying to decide on the best options for our exhibitors and our sponsors. Obviously, we won't be able to have an actual exhibit hall, but since they are sponsoring the virtual meeting, we'd like to do some sort of virtual hall if we can.
Okay. Can you help the Viking Dame avoid losing her horns? Can a live virtual meeting have a virtual exhibit hall? A, yes, it doesn't matter because it's virtual and online. B, yes, as long as it is separate from the CME live stream. C, no, it will violate standard 4.2, appropriate management of associated commercial promotion. Or D, no, because there is no way to separate the CME content and virtual exhibit hall on a digital platform. Please respond now. Looks like responses are rolling in. Let's see what people are thinking. Wow, 100% B. Yes, as long as it is separate from the CME live stream. Boy, you all better hope this is the correct answer. And it is. Very good. So let's go back to Jake Powers for his explanation.
Well, apparently everyone outside of Minnesota knows that you can certainly have a virtual exhibit hall, but just like in the live setting, it has to be completely separate from the medical education part of the virtual platform. The ACCME states that the learner must have a clear notification that they are leaving the education part of the website, and then you're good.
That's great. That's great, Jake. So we could stream the CME programming on one page of the platform and then host the virtual hall on a different page?
That's correct.
Okay, but now wait a sec. Wait. What if we have any non-CME product theater type questions or type sessions? Can we still have those virtually on our platform?
All right. For our next question, can you help the Viking Dame cheer her team to Super Bowl victory? Trick question. No one can do that. But can you still help her? Can you include CME and non-CME programming within your live virtual meeting? A, yes, as long as there is clear separation between the CME and non-CME content. B, yes, the content can be CME or non-CME because it is virtual and online. C, no, it is, as there is no way to separate the CME versus non-CME content on a digital platform. Or D, no, it will violate standard 4.2, appropriate management of associated commercial promotion. Please respond now. Answers are coming in. Let's see. People are thinking. Once again, 100%. Oh, boy, whoever just picked D, you blew it. There was 100% on A, but unless you're right, we'll never see. Let's find out. Correct answer is, oh, it's A. Very good. So let's go back to Jake Powers for his explanation.
Jake, I heard you laughing earlier. Is everything all right? I didn't hear anything funny.
Oh,
Jeez.
sometimes the joke is just in my own
you hear
head.
voices.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, You can still host product theater type sessions that are non-CME on your platform. However, just like the exhibit hall, you have to have that clear separation between your CME and any sponsored or non-CME information like a product theater. And the learner must have a clear notification that they are leaving the educational part of the website. The ACCME states that advertisements and promotional materials cannot be visible on the screen at the same time as the CME content.
Okay, listen, Jake, I didn't grow up in an igloo. I mean, I grew up in Minnesota, which is kind of like an igloo, but anyway, I know about technology. So, but how do I separate the two? How do I separate the live stream from the CME programming and the live stream of the non-CME programming? Do I have to have a separate platform? Are there different wires? How do I do this?
Oh, you're overcomplicating things here. You don't have to switch platforms or anything. You just have to make sure the audience understands and knows that the programming is CME versus non-CME. So if you're completing the live stream of the CME portion and are going to have a non-CME program next, you should announce it to your audience and provide a break in the programming. Then, when you start the non-CME portion, you announce it again. I'd also recommend including it as static content on the live stream page so your audience always knows if the content is CME or not. Then when you're transitioning from non-CME content back to CME, make an announcement and take a break to signify the separation.
Now, how long do you recommend the break should be? Maybe enough to get a little break on a hot dish, a little snack?
Sorry. Standard 4.2 states for live face-to-face CME, advertisements and promotional materials cannot be displayed or distributed in the educational space immediately before, during, or after a CME activity. I recommend treating your live stream events much the same and allow at least 15 minutes between CME and non-CME programming.
Oh, that's perfect time for a little hot dish snack. Okay, school, Jake. Thanks so much. This is super helpful. I do have one last question for you, real quick. You mentioned changes at scope earlier. Do you need to alert any of our? Should we alert any of our commercial supporters of our live events turning into virtual meetings?
Yes, absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, if any scope or the original grant changes, you must submit a change of scope to the commercial supporters and receive approval from them to continue with the educational grant. This would definitely change the budget, so you'll want to submit an updated version as well.
Oh, you got it, Jinx. Thanks, Jake. I really appreciate your help. You sure know your CME, even if you're a Seagulls fan there.
Oh, hey, Viking Dame, did you hear the one about the blonde dame burglar?
No.
She tried to rob the Vikings trophy room. Oh. Finally, it's time for that bourbon.
Mr. Powers, you still there?
Oh, jeez. Oh, for the love of what now?
What else? Another client?
Andrea, didn't we agree that 3 clients in one day was too taxing on my CME brain?
It's Andre. You mean your bourbon-soaked brain, right?
What? What was that?
Sorry, nothing. Are you ready for your last client of the day?
Sure, why not? The CME world needs me, and no one else can handle these problems, mysteries, and compliance issues. Just me. It's a huge weight on these strong but tired shoulders. I'll have you know. I mean, I should start going to bed at 8:30 p.m. every night like that Brian McGowan guy.
Yeah, sure. Whatevs. Anyways, let's call this the case of the mysterious man in black and Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Mind if I sit in on this one? This guy looks dashingly handsome. I mean, I'd love to watch you work if that's okay.
Yeah, whatever it takes to get this day over with. Just make sure you shut your yap. You can be seen but not heard. No flapping your gums.
Yes, sir, I promise.
All right, send him in or do whatever voodoo it is that you do.
I thought this was going to be a meeting just with you, Mr. Powers. Who is this?
This is my trusty assistant, Andrea. She's here to listen and learn, but not speak or repeat. Don't worry, I work under the strictest ACCME client CME Detective confidentiality agreement possible.
Well, I have nowhere else to turn, so I'm going to have to trust you. Trust you both.
Perfect. So what can I do for you, sir?
I have a CME mystery to solve. Can you help me?
It's what I do. Solve CME mysteries. I'm the only one licensed in the U.S. to do so, probably in the world. No one else can do what I do.
You're quite an interesting man, Mr. Powers.
Thank you, sir. I work hard at it.
Okay then, here's my problem. My company is an accredited provider and is trying to place accredited education.
You mean certified education?
Yeah, certified education. We're trying to place this certified education on Facebook Live, and we're not sure if it's possible. Can you give me some guidance?
I have to admit, fine sir, that if I have one weakness, any weakness at all, really, it's around social media. I tend to prefer anti-social media, if you catch my drift. What are you specifically concerned about?
Well, as you may or may not know, Facebook and other open access platforms like it are, well, exactly that, open access. That means that we really have no control over participants' responses or the number of directions the content may turn.
I think I see where you're going with this. Continue, please.
So my big questions are, one, how do we monitor or control participant responses, especially if they mention something like adverse events? Two, how do we keep the content on course so we hit all of our planned learning objectives? And finally, can we even certify this type of activity?
These are excellent and important questions to consider.
And can you help?
Oh, no mystery is too big or too small for Jake Powers.
So what's your guidance?
You came to the right place.
Sir, if you don't mind, I can help you with this one.
You can?
You can?
Yep. Let me take a look at these questions in order. First, let's talk about how you're going to be hosting this on Facebook. Are you planning on creating your own unique group for the activity?
Well, I was planning on just using my personal Facebook account to recruit and host from, but that way I can keep an eye on what's going on.
Okay, I would advise you to consider making a closed group for the activity. That way, when you're live, you'll be able to see the learners who are joining your meeting, as well as give you the discretion on who to recruit.
Oh, okay. So it's like a live online webinar.
Exactly.
Well, that sounds simple enough. Create a group specific to this activity and invite participants to be part of the group. Well, now that I know how to solicit and track participants, what do I do to control their responses?
Okay. Help save the mysterious man in black from turning red with embarrassment. How can he monitor or control participant responses in a live online webinar? A, he doesn't need to as it's not his job. B, by utilizing an on-site or active monitor. C, having the participants sign waivers attesting that they understand the rules of CME. And D, there is no way these people are out of control. Please respond now. We're going to do this quick because we are running just a little bit behind. So let's see what people are saying. B seems to be the most popular answer for now. Let's see which one is correct. B is the correct answer. So let's go back to Jake Powers, his assistant, for her explanation.
Well, the reality is that even in a live in-person event, we can't control every learner as much as we'd like to sometimes.
You're telling me.
What I would suggest is utilizing a monitor or someone to help ensure the activity remains on track in compliance with CME guidelines. If someone says something that could be considered inappropriate or biased in nature, the moderator can step in and remind everybody that this is a CME certified activity, and those who can't abide by the rules will be removed from the group.
Oh, okay. So it's like that praline group that I'm a part of. They're always trying to threaten to kick me out if I don't share my grandma's secret recipe.
Sure, I guess.
Oh, well, that's certainly helpful. Thank you, ma'am. How about the content? Do we have to hit all of our planned learning objectives, or if participants drag the faculty off on a tangent and the faculty doesn't bring them back, are we in trouble?
All right. Time for our next question, which I need to move it on to. Good. Help Andrea show up or boss. Which of the following is not an issue you face if you fail to address all the practice gaps you identified for your CME activity? A, you will need to host a supplementary program to address the remaining gaps. B, your program was not compliant with ACCME rules. C, your outcomes will show you missed the gap. Or D, your participants will not be able to claim credit. Please respond now. Jake, FYI, we got 5 minutes, so we're going to speed through these. Show responses. Looks like the most is C. Your outcomes will show you missed the gap. Let's see which one is correct. And it is C. So let's go back to Andrea for her explanation.
In actuality, this could happen with any live event. To ensure you do your best to address your identified gaps, I would consider drafting a script or an outline for the faculty. Try to include multiple talking points on each learning objective. That way, if your faculty member skips around, you're still likely to address your identified gaps. While it's not necessarily a compliance issue to not identify or address all the gaps or your learning objectives, you will still end up with some gaps in your education that you'll probably want to address later.
Again, very helpful. How about question number 3?
That question, can you certify this kind of activity, is the key to solving your whole case.
All right, last question of the night. She clearly doesn't need your help, but if she did, how would you help Andrea answer the mysterious man in black's third question? Can you certify live education hosted on a social media site such as Facebook? A, yes, absolutely, without any limitations. B, yes, as long as you can adhere to CME guidelines. C, yes, if the activity does not have commercial support. Or D, no way, never. Responses are coming in. And it looks like B, 100% for B. Let's see if that's correct. It is. Great. So let's go back to Andrea. And I guess Jake too.
Ultimately, if we treat this like a live webinar with the hosting platform being Facebook, there shouldn't be any issues certifying the activity. The reportable course type would be an internet live, and you just need to make sure that you have a good idea of how long your activity is going to be. I would create an agenda with time slots about the generalized topic areas. That way your faculty can gauge how long they should be speaking in a specific topic area. You also need to make sure that you adhere to all of the ACCME guidelines, like you would any other activity, such as the standards for commercial support or disclosures of conflicts of interest.
Okay, but how will learners get their credit?
Just like you would in any other live activity. They'll need to complete an evaluation/application for credit. This can be done with the use of a survey site like SurveyMonkey. You can provide the link to each learner that was a part of the activity, and then they can attest to how much time they spent in the live event.
Any other questions?
I don't think so. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
You could also use the same format for patient education, which would be non-certified. When there's non-certified education, the ACCME rules don't officially apply, but they're always good guidelines to create fair and balanced education.
Oh, fair and balanced, just like my deodorant.
You've got to be kidding me.
Oh, Mr. Powers, I sort of forgot you were there.
Ouch.
This has been a huge help, Miss. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
It's Andrea.
Why, yes. Yes, it is. It's Andrea. Please feel free to call us whenever you need us.
I most certainly will. Until then.
I'm sorry, Mr. Powers, did you say something?
Yeah, well, good job.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more time, please.
Okay, great job. Thanks for covering for me. Maybe my hangover was worse than I thought.
Or maybe someone's getting old and crotchety and not keeping up on the latest technology.
Yeah, maybe, or that.
We made a pretty good team, didn't we?
Team? Jake Powers is a loner, Dottie, a rebel. I'm no team player.
Ever hear about it, the old dog learning some new tricks?
Think about it.
Maybe I could teach you about it.
Oh, Lord help me.
When you finally get home from Colorado, I'll be prepared with a few lessons for you, all nicely referenced, including some nice examples.
Maybe instead, while I'm here, I'll climb a mountain and meet with the CME guru who has shared his wisdom with me over the past few decades. He's the one who inspired me to become a CME detective. He's the wisest man I know. I trust him implicitly.
Dare I ask who this could possibly be?
Lemon. Michael Lemon. He's my CME guru. I've been talking about him the whole time. I don't even have to climb a mountain to chat with him. I'm living in his basement.
You are truly an interesting man, Mr. Powers.
Thanks, Andrea. I do pride myself on it.
Good night, sir.
You too, Andrea. You too.
All right. Great job, guys. I'm giving a very quick sign off because it is 4 o'clock and Scott is ready to go. So just refresh your screens. The next one will come up next session. And the next session it's the conundrum one, whatever the name. Common and not so common case conundrums in CME. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Take our survey if you have a chance. And for all of us here, we are